Welcome back to another episode of the Blueprint Podcast. I'm Celia Stockmall, your host for today. Co-hosting with me is the Cyrus Elrod, and today we're here with Creston Dalle. So first off, just tell us a little bit about yourself, who you are.
Yeah, well, my name's Creston, and I'm a creator, founder of CD Mods, and a lot of people probably know me just from making edits or just being in the community at a lot of sporting events, and yeah, that's probably the main, I guess, identity that I have around here.
Yeah, so like if you're like meeting someone new and they're like, oh, what do you do for a living? Like, what would you tell them?
Oh, that's a good question. Sometimes I don't really know how to answer that because it's like, I don't really know exactly what I do because it's like you get these titles of like a videographer or a photographer or a video editor, and you're like, yeah, I guess those are like parts of what I do, but mainly the whole intent and the mission, I guess it'd be hard to put it into like a title or a label, but mainly I just want to make cool stuff, make people look cool, and that's I guess in a cheesy way, but that's kind of what I'm after, I guess.
Yeah.
So, like, how did you start, though? Like, you definitely built up a really big, like, name for yourself. You have over 3,000 followers on Instagram. Like, how did you start up?
Yeah, super cool question. So I guess to bring it back, it was probably like 2021, and I guess at the time I had a lot of miscellaneous jobs, I guess, but I was doing landscape, doing construction. I'm like, dude, I see the end of this, and I'm like, I don't really want to go this far. Like, I got to do something. So I kind of took a break from that, and dirt bikes and action sports was kind of like just something I grew up around a lot. And I was like, man, I'm just gonna get some bikes again and go out and ride. And went to a couple races, like just trying to like get back into it. And I was like, man, I missed the window on this. I'm like started way too late. There's kids out here that are 13, 14 years old that are just putting me to shame. So I'm like, this ain't it. But coincidentally, when I was there, I seen somebody taking photos and doing video edits, and I was like, oh, dude, that's pretty sick. So that's kind of where it sparked something. Literally, I think from that day, like that whole idea just like was in my head. I looked on Facebook Marketplace. I think I found like a $200 camera, and I had a GoPro at the time. I went the next race, not with a bike, but with a camera, and I had this one kid. I was like, hey, dude, I don't know where this is going to go, but I kind of got this idea. Is that cool if I like kind of film you today? He's like, yeah, sure. Did that, put it out there, and ever since then it's kind of took off.
Yeah, so when did you start to believe like this could be my job? This could be a business?
Yeah, that's a good question because for the initial like beginning period, I was just wanted to have fun with it. Didn't really have like any expectations, like, you know, the whole business side of it was like so delayed. Like I was just like trying to get good, trying to be able to create what I wanted to create. And I think that whole process took some time, but overall, like I think one thing just kind of led to the next, you know. But what happened is at the same time I went to RTR, so they built a new school, but they're going to have their first football game there. And they're like, hey, we seen what you were doing. Could you just like come out and film this football game? I'm like, yeah, sure. Like I like football. Like I'll come out there and do that. And so I did that. And the kids were like, yo, CD Mods. And I was like, honestly, like it was like my TikTok handle, CD Mods was. And I was like, oh, great. Like I kind of just like created that for myself right there. So it wasn't like, yeah, I think that's really just kind of where it took off. And then parents were reaching out like, hey, could you like make a highlight for my kid like through the season? And I was like, yeah, sure, I could do that. And then just kind of just started working out from there, I guess.
Yeah, like, oh, how much do I pay you? And you were like, oh, I can get paid to do this.
Like, yeah, that's exactly it. And I think that was the biggest requirement. And I knew that was starting to demand something like I needed to level up, like, but I had really no idea of how to like run a business. I had no idea, like all my family and everything, like we just grew up 9 to 5. So like we just worked for someone. So it's like, now you're trying to work for yourself. Yeah, it was good. But that was like the initial challenge. Like, okay, how do I make this be what it could be?
So like you talked about how some clients would reach out to you, right? Like, have you ever had a client like specifically request like, oh, I want you to make this kind of highlight, or like do you like just having that creative side where you can just go out and create whatever you want to create?
Yeah, I think the best way that I can explain that is sometimes I've had clients where like they'll have a shot list, like they kind of can predict what's going to be happening. Mainly in sports, it's like I can't really predict what's going to happen. You know, I guess if I get the play, I get the play. But in some of like, you know, pre-planned like higher productions, I guess I've had, you know, specific like shot lists and stuff like that. So I kind of like already pre-visioned, or people would like send me examples. And I think that's really easy to recreate that. And you just kind of modify it the way that they want it. So yeah, I would say it's pretty easy to go with a structure like that.
Yeah, so we kind of were talking before we got on set about you've been traveling for this too. You aren't just in Marshall, like you're going around. So like where have been some of the like biggest places you've been, and like what's like your favorite thing that you've been able to do with this?
This is kind of a cool story. Like one of the biggest, I guess, people that I worked for or filmed was the Big Air Tour. And coincidentally, the founder of that grew up in Wabasso, Minnesota, which is only 30 minutes from here. So here's a small town kid, and here's a small town kid. And him and his brother were like the first ever to flip a backflip a four-wheeler. And so it's crazy for like what they've done in that sport. So I just remember like just bugging him. I'm like, dude, like if you need a filmer, just let me know. Like, and I got left on red a lot. You know, it was probably a good 6 months. And he's like, okay, we got to show up in the cities if you can make it out. Cool. It was on my birthday. I'm like, I'm going to go. And so I went there, and he's like, well, we got a tour. Here's our list dates. And they're all kind of all over the country. So probably my favorite one was when we went down to Texas. There's like these higher-end resort lagoons is what they call them, and they put on shows out there. And I don't know, it's pretty cool. Kind of feels like a mini X Games, if you know what that is. So, yeah.
So you talked about how a lot of the time, like you would reach out to him and it was just red.
Yeah.
How did you stay motivated throughout all of that to like just keep going after it until you finally got that gig?
Yeah, that's a good thing. And I think I knew two things I had to tell myself is like either A, I'm getting closer. It's just like it's not ready yet. And so it's like it was a tricky thing because it's like either A, I'm doing something wrong and I need to do something different, or A, I haven't been doing this thing long enough. And so it was kind of like that balance, like don't really second guess yourself, but just keep working on what you're doing and getting better. And when the time's right, like I think it'll happen. So I really just learned not to like force things because they just never really went good when you try to force them, you know? So you're just kind of like, just remind them like, hey, I'm over here if everything going, not like in a desperate way, but you're just like a reminder like, hey, we could still make this happen.
Yeah, so I think the biggest thing is like we aren't meant to do anything alone. I know you've talked like you've had a lot of support. You don't have a production team. You're kind of a one-man show, but like talk a little bit about who has supported you, who has been maybe a mentor as you've gone through this process.
Yeah, well, big shout out to Aaron Ehalt. He was pretty much the first one that hooked me up with a nice Sony camera, and I remember he came down. We met at Caribou. And I was like looking at this camera. I was like, dude, I don't even know what to do with this thing. You know, like it was just like such a crazy moment. But he answered like any question I had. Like I just remember trying to understand like how to work this camera. Like it was like probably a good 6 months before like I felt like comfortable, you know? So it's like that whole period, it's like I can't go out there and tell people I can do a good job when I don't even know how to really do something. So yeah, I would say big shout out to Aaron Eathall. He's really helped me out. And just other people too, like Derek Getter with the Big Air Tour that I was just talking about. Just people that maybe weren't really like in a big environment, but they just had a dream and they kept on going. And I'm just like, man, I think one of the coolest things he told me was, Derek told me, he's like, you know, look where you're at now. Like imagine where you could be in 10 years if you keep going. And it's like, it's a good thing to be reminded of that, because sometimes you're like, dude, I don't know if this is really going where I want it to go. So good things like that. But yeah, my family has been really supportive. I remember when I kind of told people I was doing this, like still some of my family was like telling me like, hey, this place is hiring, like this place is hiring, and I'm like, oh, bro, I gotta make sure that this works somehow, because like I knew the alternative was like, I'm gonna go back and get a job. And so, yeah, I think that was the biggest thing. But another, I guess, a side motivating factor was right around those times, I guess, even before I picked up the camera, I lost a couple friends, and it was just like really just freak things, just like going out one night and just like a freak thing happened, you know, and one was 19, and the other one was like 22. And these are kids that I grew up with, like in the sandbox, like, you know, grew up a couple blocks away from each other. And I was just like, man, this life is so short, like after that, you know, and I was just kind of like, I was kind of devastated at that point, but I was kind of like, you have the opportunity here to like design your life, you know, and it's like some people don't, and it's over. So then I was just like, I kind of replayed that, and I was like, that was kind of like a motivating factor. Like, man, like you got so much potential, you got so much you can do out here. You might as well like make something good with the time that you got, you know. So
Yeah, just go for it.
yeah.
So like, as you said, somebody told you like, look where you are now, look where you imagine what you could be in 10 years. Where do you want this to go? Like, where are you trying to get to? What's your end goal?
Yeah, that's cool. I think about that a lot, and one of the probably confusing things is like I'm so like diverse, and like I could do weddings, I could do sports, I could do business stuff. Like I'm kind of all over the place as far as like what I can do. So I haven't really like solidified like, hey, I just like I want to go all in on sports, or I want to go all in on this stuff yet. So overall, I think the main thing is I want to keep progressing, but I also want to find the right people to kind of build this team to where we can just put higher value output out there. And so like anything that came really that we could handle, you know. So yeah, it's hard to see it, because even when I started, I really didn't have any idea like this is where I want to be, you know. And I just like things just started coming, and opportunities came, and I was just like, well, if they're still going to come, I just need to make sure that I'm ready for when they come.
Yeah, I think that's kind of the funnest thing about even just like this kind of business. Like it's always evolving. Like you're always going to be doing something new, something different. And I feel like we kind of talked about that before we got on set as well, is like there are a lot of people that are picking up their camera like, oh, I see, like I feel like you've inspired people like, oh, I see he's doing this, like why can't I try?
Yeah.
And I feel like that's a super cool thing. Have you kind of felt that yet? Like, oh, maybe I kind of started something, or maybe I can help others.
Well, that's a good point, because like you go on Instagram or you go on Facebook or whatever, and you see like all these sports hype videos of places all over, but it's like there was nothing really happening in this area. So I'm like, well, like there's a start, right? And so I kind of did that, and there was a couple people that reached out and were like, yo, like I seen what you were doing, and then it kind of inspired me to do it. And I was like, dude, go for, you know, like I never really have like any sort of like competitive like, oh, like if you got a camera, like I never really get like that, because I know that everybody has a different eye, everybody has a different style, everybody has a different thing that they're able to create where they're at. So it's just kind of like there's enough room for everybody, and you know, if there's 5 edits of a football team, that's cool, and you can kind of see the quality, or you can see the difference of style. And I think that's the important thing, is just like the more the merrier, I guess, you know.
Is there anyone that you looked up to, like when you started creating your edits and stuff like that? Is there anyone that like you looked up to kind of not replicate but take ideas from?
Yeah, that's a good point. I never really seen anyone that like had necessarily like a style that I was trying to like imitate or anything. I just was so intrigued, like how do I get that high quality stuff? Like how do I get those types of shots? And so like when I would see people do that, I would just kind of like just picture in my head, like where were they on the field, or how did they set up that camera angle, or you know, what type of lens did they use, or like I would just kind of premeditate what it was that I thought that they were doing, and then I would go try it. And so it's kind of helped me, because you go to different gyms, you go to different fields, there's different layouts, there's different places you can and can't be. So it's good to know, like, hey, if I can be on the sideline, if I can't be on the sideline, just kind of helps that. But yeah, I never, honestly, like, I never really liked looking at too many other people's stuff, because then I feel like at some point you would start copying them in a way. So I guess if, not to sound weird or anything, but I would like look back on my old videos and I'm like, oh, like that was rough, you know? So like that's what I would always like be comparing, like, okay, where have you gotten better at, or where did you fumble that one at, or whatever, you know?
Yeah, I feel like a testament to how much you've grown. I feel like that's your whole story, is like there's no one path to get where you need to go. You didn't go to college and you're here. You're learning how to do stuff that a lot of people don't know how to do. So how did you go about like learning some of these editing techniques? Like how do you get the best shot? How did you go about learning all of this?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is like I would just find a game, whether it be a high school game or a college game, and I would just show up and go for it. And if I got something good, I got something good. If I didn't, as far as like I would say it's like kind of like a double process, because it's like you go out there, if you don't really get good shots, then it's hard to put something together that looks good because you don't have any good shots. So I had to like kind of master that first, like getting good shots, right? And then the next part was editing, and I'm like, oh man, like this is like just as much work, if not more. And so, yeah, I kind of took it like one chunk at a time. Like, yeah, I just remember so many times I was like, dude, I don't know what to do with this thing, you know? So just kept on going with it. And, yeah, eventually I started just getting more comfortable, confident with it.
Has there like been a game, like a specific game or a specific like edit that you made where you're like, oh, this is it, like I know this one's gonna be good or this one's gonna blow up?
Oh man, like I would always like be like, yeah, this is it, this is the one. And I'd post it and I'm like, that didn't go anywhere that I thought it was gonna go. And then the next thing I'm just like, I don't know what it is, and there's all like the algorithm and analytics and stuff, but mainly my focus is like, if there was a player, if there was a team, what do they think about it? You know, as far as like the views and all that stuff, like, you know, like you said, 3,000 followers, like it doesn't seem like a lot, but it's like I grew up in a town with 1,200 people. So it's like I have double that. You know, you don't really think about that, but it's like if 3,000 people are watching, that's pretty impressive, you know? And obviously not everyone's going to engage with it. Not everyone's going to like have a taste for what you're making. But I was just like, if whoever I'm making it, whoever my subject is, whoever's the players, if they think it's cool, if like that inspired them or some way, then I'm like, all right, that's all that really matters to me.
Yeah, like all about the perspective, how you look at it. Would you say you've always kind of had this kind of outlook, or has your like journey with photography video, has it taught you that a little more?
That's a good question. Well, I think when I was younger, I was always fascinated about people's stories, about like my forefathers, like my grandpa or my dad. Like I was just interested in like their activities throughout life, you know, like my grandpa went to Vietnam and stuff. And I was just like, he would tell us these stories and I was like, man, it'd be so cool if like he had a GoPro on or something like that. Obviously they didn't have GoPros back then, but I was just like so interested. And I'm like, how could I enhance this moment, this game, this play, this whatever I'm shooting? How could I put it in a perspective that people are like, well, I've never really seen it like that before, you know? And that always kept me interested, but it also kept me like, encouraged, because it's like, you can always switch that up. And now since I've like done like photography and video, watching movies is like way different, because I'm always looking like, oh, how did they put that shot together? Or like the camera movement, or like, you know?
Yeah, it's
all
like
that
our single cam class, like learning like the rule of thirds and like exactly.
Yeah.
And you learn that stuff, like we're learning it in a classroom and you're learning it from getting out there and doing it. And it's like there's no right way to learn something like that.
No, and I think that's the thing. Like there's all those like, I guess like filmmaking rules of like composition and lighting and all that stuff. And I think like them are definitely good points, but it's like if you're putting stuff up on Instagram, like it's just such a short thing that it's like people just like want to see something uptight, cool looking, you know? The whole like actual like cinematography stuff, like, yeah, I think it's hard to really get that going on reels, in my perspective.
So like you are a really big storyteller with your edits. Like we've watched your edits and it's like you always are telling a story within an edit. How do you kind of like go about that?
Yeah, that's cool, because I guess for example, like basketball, it's like I'm just like, and obviously there's not any live like people speaking, right? And that's a whole different topic. So it's like, how can I get people to kind of like get curious or like connect the dots with what's going on? So it's like warm ups or if somebody's like dunking or like just trying to find things that people might not think that they're seeing, and then just like be like, hey, might have forgot about that.
Yeah, like there's the one you had someone taking like a corner three, and it's like the angle of the camera is like behind the basket, and it's just like, how do you think of that? Like that's just talent. Like you just gotta figure it out.
Yeah, and that's a really good point because I think too, like growing up, like sports was like probably like one of the things that we were doing, especially if you're in a small town. Like you either play sports or I don't know, get in trouble.
Yeah, I don't know what you do then. Yeah.
But so having the comprehension of like, okay, like I know, like for SMSU, like I know where they usually set up threes or like at a certain point in the game, like I can kind of like guess, I guess, but I can kind of see like, okay, well, like a three would be cool here if they shoot it here. But if I'm not here and they shoot a three from here, then I missed it. So it's kind of like just anticipating like where the play is going to go because I don't know what they're doing. I don't know what they're running. I don't know if this is going to be a touchdown or if this is going to be intercept. I don't know any of that stuff. I just know like if it happens, where can I be? That might look cool.
So you've done a lot of sports like motocross, football, basketball. You've done a lot of sports. Is there like one sport where you like you're so excited to go? Like, is there one sport where you just absolutely love doing the filming?
That's a great question. Recently, wrestling has kind of been, I don't know, something about wrestling. Like, I didn't grow up wrestling or anything, but it was just like, I started kind of like comprehending like the whole art of that sport. And I'm like, dude, like, that's crazy. Like, you know, it's a team thing, but you also have this individual, like, you know, discipline. And I don't know, that wrestling's probably been like my favorite thing because like, you definitely don't know what's going to happen there. And yeah, wrestling's been pretty cool lately. So shout out to SMSU and Marshall Tigers wrestling team.
Yeah, I feel like we just did our like first broadcast in so long for wrestling, and I even like did almost a crash course that day of like the rules. Like there's just so many different sides of everything.
Yeah.
I feel like it's super awesome.
Yeah, and it's like every sport kind of has like their own like culture or like rhythm, I guess, you know, and like something about wrestling, you're just like, I don't know what's going on here, but it's pretty cool, and I'm just gonna hang out for a little bit and see what happens.
Yeah, and like having that hand in like how people see it. Because
Yeah.
people like you look at something and you're like, oh, I'm seeing it, but you're affecting the way they view it, like how
Yeah.
they look at it.
For sure. And I mean, yeah, I think that's the main thing. It's like if I was in the position of like an athlete, like seeing myself, like you never really get to see yourself. You might see game film, but it's like from such a wide angle view that you're not really like enhanced in it, you know, and like that's probably the main goal is just like always do that well as best as I can, you know. So
Is there like a specific camera angle you love the most? Like you just that's your default to go back onto, or are you always just trying to change up your shots?
yeah, so like I mean I kind of have a layout. Here's probably like a tip, but you kind of want to have a variety in shots. So it's like maybe sometimes I'll like open up with like a wide angle of like setting the scene of like if we're at wrestling or a football game. But for me, like probably my favorite is I like uptight shots, like when you can see like facial expression or you can see like some sort of like, because even if you watch it live, your eyes aren't like so focused in on that. Like it's just such a wide angle. So when you get like a really tight view and it's really like up close, I think that's probably my favorite thing.
Yeah, I feel like just like the way you're talking, like we're excited. Like we just want to know how you've learned like your skill. And I feel like as other people and as we kind of touched on at the beginning, other people see that. And I'm assuming you kind of have to meet some deadlines. Like people are hiring you kind of.
Yeah.
How do you go about meeting those deadlines when it comes close? Time management. I mean, if especially for photography, you're taking hundreds of photos just for like that one good one that you want.
Yeah, that's a good point. And at the beginning, I had so much free time that I would like literally go shoot, plug in my SD card, and just like get editing because it was like so fresh on my mind. But now I've kind of had to learn to like kind of be selective when I'm out shooting and know like, okay, I need to get a couple of these good ones. And then I guess I just put them in a timeline and just kind of play with them and put them around like the sequence of the edit and everything like that. I guess it all has a part to play, but yeah, quick turnaround has always been like probably my strong suit because, especially like in sports where there's high volume, like if I film a game today and I put it out 2 weeks later, like it might be cool, but if I see it tomorrow morning, I'm gonna be a lot more hyped about it. Or if I see it the next day, so I always try to kind of turn it around fast, just because I know like there's just another one coming.
So it's kind of just like beating the rest of them to it, trying to get the hype before everyone else gets it.
Yeah, I think that's definitely something that I've tried to always use as a strong point. Like if I can be quick and efficient above just like being quality with the camera and the edit, then that's like, I heard this thing once. It was like, I don't know who said it. It was like this triangle thing. It was like if you want it to be, or there's like three things. It's like cheap, fast, and good. It's like, but you can only pick two. So it's like if you want it cheap and fast, it's probably not gonna be good. If you want it good and cheap, it's probably not gonna be fast. I don't know. There's a way that they played it.
I get what you're saying. Yeah, like there's just so many sides of it, and as a business, like you want to have that good reputation too. Like you want people to keep coming back, keep seeing you, and you want to keep spreading and expanding your like fan base, pretty much.
Yeah, that's definitely a good point, because always before, like working in a company, you're I don't know, you kind of get in a routine. You're just like, I'm here, like whether I work the hardest or I work not, like I know I'm guaranteed like my paycheck at the end. But when you start kind of doing your own show, like that's your name and that's your work, and I think that's like, it can be a bottleneck too, because like you're afraid to bring in new people and you're afraid to bring in stuff, because it's like if I give somebody else and we put something out and it's like, no, CD Mods isn't CD Mods anymore. It's that. So it's a good thing to bring up, because try not to like personalize the brand, but it's hard when you're the person doing it, So yeah, it's a lot of things I'm learning about, I guess.
Have you been able to separate yourself from, CD Mods, or like when you think of CD Mods, like that's you, like with you and your business, like are you the same, or are you able to kind of separate those two?
Man, it's been hard. If I really had to be honest, like there's probably times that I've like blended my personality into the brand, and maybe that's good, maybe that's not as good, but it's like you never want to like put too much of you on there to where it's not what it's all about anymore, And it never was like a me show. It was always like who's on the other side of the camera, So I never really was like, this is my work, I never really got like all like crazy with that like that.
Kind of to wrap this up, getting close to our time here, I feel like we talked about this beforehand too, like what kind of like is the main topic we want to talk to you about. And it's just, I feel like a lot of people have these ideas for like changes they want to make or things they want to do, but they don't do it. And so like, what is something, like what would you say to someone who wants to follow a dream, whatever it may be?
Once you get momentum, once you get traction, like it starts to become easier, but like I think just try not to overthink it, and just really just get it rolling a little bit, and don't, like, not everything's going to be perfect. You're not going to have everything you think you need to get started. Like whatever you have, I mean, if you have an iPhone, if you have a cheap camera, like whatever it is, like you can get going with that. And really with anything, like use your resources, I guess. One of the big things that I was always told is like the answer's always no if you don't ask, So like I got a lot of no's in the beginning, like a lot of no's, but I knew that a lot of those people that I was trying to work with or work for, they just weren't ready, or maybe I wasn't professional enough, or I wasn't approaching them enough of what they want to hear. And not like you're always trying to like cater, I guess. You don't want to like lose your authenticity, but you want to have something that's right for the people. And I think it's good to be versatile like that, and stay adaptable to whatever opportunity is coming. And I guess now the biggest thing that I always remind myself is like, I heard this from a good friend named Matt Tanksley. He's a flat track 4-wheeler racer, but he he always said this one thing and it stuck with me. He's like, you're not as good as you think you are, but you're also not as bad as you think you are. You know, and I was like, man, like, 'cause you really, sometimes you think like you're hot and you got it. If something comes along and humbles you, you know, and at the same time, it's like, if things are going rough, like, just know that that's not going to be like that forever. Like, you just got to kind of withstand the waves. So, I don't know. I hope that kind of helped, I guess.
No, absolutely. I feel like Cyrus and I have learned a lot from
Yeah.
this. Like, we could keep talking and talking. I'm excited. I think our professor kind of trying to get you to come to class. It'll be cool. I'm super happy we could have you on today. Thank you for coming on. And yeah, we'll see you on the next episode for the Mustang Blueprint.
Okay, I'll jump in. So we're going to start a little bit with the budgeting first. So my first question for you is, what are the biggest budgeting mistakes that some college students can make?
First mistake is you don't do it, is actually the first mistake. I always say that budgets are actually made to be broken, is what I will say. But if you don't put anything down on paper, you have nothing to go off of.